All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Sunday episode. We're on a roll, making it every Sunday now. But welcome back to another episode. This week we are joined by Emily, who is, I don't know, I don't want to come across as rude with this, but I'm going to say self-proclaimed medium. That's fine. Yep. Self-proclaimed medium. So we have, I know Alex and I have a lot of questions lined up for this, just out of curiosity and a bunch of other things. So I think it'll be an interesting podcast. It'll be a good change of pace from what we've been doing, and hope you guys enjoy this. So, Emily, welcome, and thank you so much for being a part of this and being willing to come talk to us and just kind of share everything that's going on with you and being a medium.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was super excited.
Emily, for how hard we worked for making this podcast happen, I'm so stoked that it's actually finally happened.
I am too.
The tape is rolling. I've been telling all of our followers for like 5 weeks now. Like, I really want to interview this lady. She seems super cool. You do my sister's hair, and you always do a fantastic job. But you're way more than that also. I just want to make sure I get that on the tape as well. You're a great person. Although you happen to do my sister's hair, and we're just super excited to have you. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was a little nervous because this is my first podcast. Normally with clients, it's like 1-to-1. So, but yeah, I was very excited. So thanks for having me.
Anytime. You come on anytime you want.
Okay, thank you.
This is a reoccurring theme for us. We will have anybody and everybody back on more than once. So I guess my first question for you is going to be, when, I guess, did you start down this like path of being a medium? Like, when did all that like first hit you? And I guess, for example, for those listening, if you guys know anything about like the Long Island medium, she said that at a young age is when her what they're called, the spirit guide, I guess, came in first, was like talking with her about being a medium and that kind of stuff. So,
when I was younger, I remember being really scared when I would be by myself, especially if I was in the dark. And they say that if you are like that as a kid, you're more sensitive. Sometimes you're picking up on things. But I was raised born again Christian, so I was learning about demonic entities or Jesus and angels, and being a psychic medium or anything in that realm was very frowned upon. But I was always very curious about it too, and there really was no explanation as to why I was so curious. I had a brother pass away when I was 16, and like I said, I always kind of felt things around me growing up. But I remember after he passed, maybe like a week later, I was just hanging out in the basement by myself, and I heard someone say my name really loud. And I thought it was him initially. I'm like, oh, but then my mind was like, no, that definitely wasn't him. Obviously, he's not here. So I went upstairs and asked my parents what they wanted. And they were like, well, we didn't say anything to you. And I'm like, no, well, I heard you guys call my name. And they're like, no, we didn't. So that was one of the first experiences I had. And then things just kind of slowly progressed after that.
Okay. Did you have anything, and I'm probably going to reference freaking Teresa Caputo a lot because that's like my only thing with her. I guess my only dalliance in this. Did you have anything, I guess, along her lines where she said that she didn't want to be shown, I guess, like the evil spirits or anything like that? So did you have anything like that as well? Or has it all, for the most part, been like positive?
You know what? I actually have had some very evil experiences, and I'll tell you guys about them. But I did shut off my mediumship for a while because I had experienced that, and it was very scary.
So how would one go about, if they were a medium, shutting off their mediumship? Like, what does that process look like, I guess, for someone outside looking?
Surprisingly, just stating that you don't want to experience that anymore will shut that down. And I was very adamant about that.
Well, I've always thought that would be, have you ever seen the Umbrella Academy?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So Umbrella Academy, one of them is a medium and he can connect with, spirits and people on the other side. And one of the things that gives me the most anxiety about watching him is that he is almost consistently like interacting with people on the other side.
Mhm.
And in this particular case, obviously it's dramatized, but he uses a lot of drugs, alcohol to like calm that down so he doesn't have to be so engaged in it. And literally just watching the Umbrella Academy and thinking like, dude, what if I could talk to the other side, but I can never shut it off? Like I just have to deal with it all the time, and there's no like off button. It gives me anxiety. Like I don't like to think about it, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess now that you say that, I do know a couple people who do experience that, but I don't know that they've ever asked to shut it down either. Or maybe they just never thought to do that.
Yeah.
Because I do believe if you don't want to communicate, you won't. For the most part. You might have certain things pop up, but it won't be as prominent.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's one thing I guess I hadn't thought about either. Is like, is there an on off like for it? So that's interesting that you said that you can state that you don't want to be communicated with or communicate for however long if you need a break. That's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we have power over that as humans, so we're able to control whether that happens or not.
Are you familiar with the Teresa Caputo study where that ABC reporter tried to disprove her and she ended up getting, they linked her up to a bunch of electrodes or whatever the right word is, to where they examined her brain. They did like a brain study of her while she was connecting. And the parts of your brain that are active while you and I are awake talking to each other all shut down. And then all of the parts that are typically active when the typical person is asleep, they all lit up for her. Are you familiar with this study whatsoever while she was connecting to the other side?
No, I haven't heard about that. That's very interesting though.
So I've said this on our podcast 100 times, and I'll probably say it 100 more times. I fucking love conspiracy theories or anything to deal with mysticism or ghosts or aliens. Like, I love it, right? But I always come in very guarded because I know that I love to think about this stuff. Like, I truly want to believe. Like, so going into it right away, I have to be aware that, hey, I want this to be a thing, so I can't get hook, line, and sinker and just, believe everything that sounds plausible because I love the idea of what's happening. And I used to love watching Teresa Caputo, like love it. I thought her show was great. Like her whole family, me being from a border town, like they're an Italian family. So obviously not the same thing, but I just always enjoyed watching what she did. And then when that reporter tried to basically debunk her and her cameraman ends up getting picked up by her while she's there, and the cameraman is basically being interviewed after, like, yo, I'm not an ABC reporter. I am a cameraman. If you Google search my name, you'll find me on like production highlights, but I'm not famous by any means because I just run a camera. And this lady knew more about my deceased family member than anybody else could have. That's really when I started thinking, like, I think there's something more here than what people are giving this lady credit for,
Absolutely.
So it's sparked a large interest, and part of the reason why you're here today, because I'm very interested in like how the process happens. Like if you're in the grocery store, like you look at someone and you're like, oh shit, like I hear someone trying to come up and like talk to that person, or like what is an average day to day look like for someone who can connect and channel with someone who's beyond the other side?
So it's actually not as cool as it seems like it would be. And I thought the same thing before I really started opening up. But honestly, when you go to the grocery store, it's a lot of anxiety. And most mediums don't really choose to be open when they do go out in public because there's just so many people. So having all of that come out at you, it's very draining. And even after readings, it's very, very draining and tiring. So you don't really want to pick up on everything, but it does seem like it'd be more exciting than it actually kind of is.
You know, I get
As far
I.
as,
Oh, go ahead.
no, that's it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, yeah, I could see that being like super draining in that because the couple episodes that I did watch where like Teresa does go out, like she does her best to like not interact with anybody or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that unless something is like super pressing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a question based off that is, have you ever had anything that was like that? Like it was just like you're out about, you didn't want to do anything, but there was like one voice or someone from the other side that was just like super hard on it and really wanted to like speak through you to whoever you were by.
You know what? I can't, off the top of my head, I don't want to say there's been anything at the store, but Sandy just recently had her uncle pass away, and I did feel like I needed to connect her to him, but I wasn't trying to. It was more like he was coming to me, wanting me to connect her. Also, the other day, I have a regular client that I see for readings, and I had something just pop in my head about her and her son. And I did feel like I needed to reach out to her and tell her. So I do have things pop up, just not necessarily about people that I'm walking around by.
Right.
Not
Okay.
that I really try to block that out.
No, that
It's
makes
hard
sense.
being open 24/7. You really don't want to be as a psychic medium.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I could definitely see how like you would just come home from like a normal day out and just want to like nap for the rest of the day or something because you're so
Mhm.
drained from it.
It's really crazy, but my mentor would tell me after readings that I would be very drained and I never understood what she meant. And the more I connected to spirits, I would wake up in the morning and be physically tired.
We got a couple questions in the chat real fast before we move on. The
Mhm.
first one is, how long did it take you to become well attuned to your ability?
I would say I still am becoming attuned. Um, it's interesting, but when you start to connect with spirits, you start to learn a language with them. So they'll show you different symbols. Or, for example, if I see lions, it means that my client had a family member who was attacked or murdered. So you learn these things with them. I have a little notebook that I write down what they tell me, but I'm constantly learning that with them. And then I'd say it's taken me 2 years of really opening up to it and meditating daily and being more open.
Okay. Second question from the chat before I hammer off the question that I just got after you said that stuff. It said, how do you recover your own emotional energy after dealing with supernatural encounters?
I take salt baths religiously after every day of readings. And I just get like regular salt at the grocery store and put a ton in there and lay in there for hours. It sounds crazy, but it really works.
Hey, whatever works and whatever helps you recover. I'm not here to knock your process. um, of course, the question I just had decided it wanted to yeet itself out the brain. So I guess for me personally, I've been a little skeptical about mediums and stuff my whole life because I guess like you, I grew up for the majority of my life that I really remember a preacher's kid. So I was a preacher's kid for a long time. So definitely steeped in that whole like mediums are hacks, like nothing like they say
Yep.
is true. Or if they wanted to accept it, they were like it's probably the devil. So I've always been like super skeptical about like that kind of stuff. But then growing up and like opening my mind to more things and seeing a couple things about like Teresa and some of the stuff that she does, it's like nobody could know.
Mm-mm.
Um, So I mean, this conversation is going to be interesting. It's going to help me, like, I guess, get a better grasp of it. So I know you mentioned earlier a little bit about like the evil stuff. I kind of just because I'm, I guess, a glutton for punishment, I kind of want to hear a little bit about that because I have kind of not really a similar story, but a story that like it stuck with me and like it was an experience that happened. So I want to hear about your stuff first, and then I guess I'll share my side. I think chat's probably heard this story from me before.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about yours too. So, let me think about where to even start. I dated somebody who lived on a haunted farm in Chapman, Nebraska. And of course, it's literally in the middle of nowhere. There's like one neighbor and surrounded by cornfields. So it's already kind of creepy. And the family told me it was haunted. They would say their alarms would all turn off on their cars at the same time. They'd hear voices. And my partner actually said that she would have dreams of an evil clown in the basement with like rust and smell rotting flesh. So I was scared already going in there. And I could tell that the energy in the house didn't like me over time, just with the experiences that happened. But she was off at work and I was home alone. And we were talking on the phone and the power went out. And I was like, how do I turn this back on? And I was really scared. And she told me to just go back outside and told me how to turn it back on. I came back in and she was laughing on the phone. And I said, what's so funny? Like, what are you laughing at? And she said, whatever, Emily. And I'm like, no, seriously, what are you laughing at? She's like, and she never believed me, but she said that I was saying her name over the phone. I'm like, I can promise you, I was not saying your name over the phone.
Oof.
And after that, we would just see like actually two people had passed on that farm, and we lived in the original part of the barn. There was a loft space upstairs, and upstairs her uncle had killed himself. So at night, you could literally see black figures looking over while you slept. I drank a lot during this time of my life. I was terrified. So I would just hide under the covers, but you could hear we had like knives in our room because we were scared at night in the middle of nowhere. And I was younger at the time, but we could hear them clinking together at night. There was a time where I had never had this happen, but my stomach hurt really bad and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up and my music shut off. So after that, it was very, very scary. So after that, we moved back to Omaha. We got an apartment and everything seemed fine. And one night we were driving around and she said, I didn't really want to tell you this, but I feel like I need to. And she said that the night she was sleeping the night prior, she saw this short, fat shadow in our hallway and the dogs were growling at it. And she said she started praying and it stretched out really tall. So being raised Christian, I was super freaked out, but I'm like, okay, I've seen my dad do this. We're just going to pray over the apartment. It's going to be fine. So we go back. I don't know why I was holding the Bible, but I'm holding the Bible. I set it down on the bed and we were both 100% sober when this happened. The second I put the Bible down on the bed, it sounded like rats crawling up our wall. And it was loud, like the dogs were growling at it. I booked it out of the apartment. I didn't even grab my dogs. I was so scared. And skeptics will probably not believe that, but that was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced in my life. And we had to actually have someone come and pray over the apartment. And then it was fine.
Oof, that is creepy.
It was
Yikes.
terrifying. Very cool.
Yeah, I could not imagine.
Have you ever had experiences with Ouija boards at all?
I haven't. I refuse to do a Ouija board. Have you done a Ouija board?
Yes. So one of the most terrifying paranormal experiences I've ever had. We were in college, and this dude on the soccer team, he lived like 4 doors down from me. Decided to start getting experience with a Ouija for some reason, and he was like really into like the band Muse, which Like at the time, they were experimenting with some weird shit like that. So we were getting this girl. Well, I should preface all of this. So he claimed that we were connecting with this girl who he found the article, who had been run over accidentally by her dad. They were like getting ready to go to like some sort of sports practice, and she fell out of the car, and the dad actually ran over her, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So like a younger spirit, and I don't know if this guy was full of shit or not. Like I should preface all of this with, I don't know if he was full of shit or not, but we were connecting with this same younger spirit over and over again. And one night we all got sat down on the Ouija board to try to connect to this girl, and we connected with a fucking energy that was not the same whatsoever with what we had been connecting to. Like right away, your hair on your body just stood like it was standing at it. And this guy starts, Ouija boards, like he's going to murder, like he's just spelling out murder, like over and over again, and then 666. And we're trying to like talk to this guy, and like you could feel it in your stomach. Like I don't know if this dude was just won over in me or what, but I felt physically sick and cold having this presence connected on this Ouija board that we were on. And he kept trying to, like, the people that were on the Ouija board kept trying to like get off of it and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, no, you have to go to bye or goodbye or whatever the token is. That's literally all I knew about Ouija boards, is if you connect with something dark and evil like that, you do not leave. Like you have to get it to say goodbye. And we kept being like, all right, man, we're going to leave. And he would go to no. And we'd be like, no, we really got to go. And he would go to no. And we're like, no, really, like this is enough. And he just kept going to no, no, no. And they were trying to get off the board. I'm like, don't you fucking take your hands off the carrot. Like, get him to leave. And then finally, after like 20 different times of us being like, all right, man, it's time to go, he finally went and said goodbye. And then it was like you could feel the energy in the room change. And my brother loves, I hope he's listening right now, he loves like connecting the spirits on the other side and all that shit. And to this day, he will be like, hey, let's get on the Ouija board. I'm like, no, dude, I will never fucking ever again in my life get on the Ouija board, because the last time I did, I felt it was like bone chilling. Like when they say you're in a room and you're in with some negative spirit and everything gets cold and like you start to feel a little bit sick to your stomach, that was prototypical of what I never want to experience again. So I will never, ever, 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 ever fuck around on board again, dude. You won't catch me on it.
Yeah,
I won't.
No, I won't mess around with those. And my story, chat, if you guys remember back to our religion podcast, you probably heard this before, but mine's kind of the same way with the feeling sick. So when I lived up in the smokestack of Idaho, that area and the northwest, part of the United States is like super spiritual. A lot of people go up there because of like the something about the crystals that are up there and the pine sap and shit. Apparently it all like really attunes some like spiritual stuff. Anyways, so this is during the time when my dad was a pastor, and there was one day this is before even regular service. This is during like the adult Sunday school. So all the adults are upstairs. I'm at an age where I'm too old for regular Sunday school, and just I guess old enough to sit at the back of adult Sunday school up top. So I'm sitting up there chilling, and there's this guy that's been coming to the church that's he's been giving me like everybody in the church kind of weird vibes the whole time, but this one Sunday, I for whatever reason, he just went off. And as soon as he started doing his thing, he like started growling and like just yelling at my dad, and I was like, "What the hell's what's going on?" And he started like going on his thing, and I just felt, you could feel it, like Alex said, it just like this oppressive force just like descended like on the sanctuary of the church. And I'm starting to feel like my stomach is getting like all heavy, and I'm feeling sick. And my dad looks up and looks at me and goes, "Go downstairs." And I was like, what's going on?" So my mom runs back to the back of the church where I'm at, grabs me and this other like girl that's like my age and takes us down the stairs. And it was super weird because as soon as
Wow.
we got down the first set of stairs onto the landing downstairs, I felt it like lift, like we got out from underneath it, and I almost just threw up on the stairs right there because of how bad it was. I was just like, huh. And then like we kept going. It like turns out later like my dad was like up there like trying to basically exorcise this guy from like whatever demon or spirit like had a hold of him, but he left. But like that has stuck with me for life because it's going to be one of those things that I always fall back on, that I'm like, yeah, demons and evil spirits are
Mhm.
real, because you don't just dismiss something that happens like that with like
Mm-mm.
how your body felt. And I'll still go watch like exorcism movies, but every time I watch those, I still get that same kind of feeling, and I start gripping whatever I'm on like super tight, like white knuckle, because I'm like, ugh. Like it took me 3 days to watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose, because I watched that after that, like years after that experience, but it still took me 3 days because I was terrified the whole time, because I was like, this shit's real, like it's not a joke. And the house we lived in too, I got a weird feeling about the house we lived in while we were up there. It was super old, like turn of the 1800s into the 1900s, and that basement cellar was strange. It was like a weird dirt dugout room back there that I hated going in when we were down
Mhm.
there, because I was just like, I don't like this. It feels not good. Like my hair would always stand on end every time I go in there, and every time like to go back to the wooden stairs up, I would sprint up those jokers like the memes, and like slam the light and then run, because I was like, this thing about to yank me through the stairs, and I'm not for it. So yeah, I don't. It was. Ugh, I still get chills like thinking about that house. Like it was a good time. I love living up there, but those couple instances, I was like, hell no.
Well,
That
the
can
whole
teach.
the whole book, with the clown in the storm sewer, basically starts with that exact same scenario. Like for some reason, basements always give people that sort of like vibe. And I grew up in a haunted house, like haunted as fuck. I could sit here and tell 20 stories just off the top of my head about growing up in a haunted house. But for some reason, basements have always carried that kind of weird vibe to it. And they've literally, again, they've written multi-million dollar books, movies off of that whole kind of vibe of weird encounters. And it can't all be for nothing. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? At least in my mind.
So, would you say you have abilities too, then, living in a haunted house, to communicate with spirits?
It's funny you asked that, because I was literally just at brunch getting mimosas with my friends and kind of telling them, like, I'm super excited for this interview tonight. And I grew up in a haunted house, and that kind of ends up, getting into conversations like this. But I just took a job in Des Moines, I should say, and we were golfing on this golf course, and we pulled up on this tee box, and to my left, like, granted, it does look like a creepy old, like, kind of abandoned house, but as soon as we pulled up on it, I was like, I do not like that place at all. Like, I'm making comments to the guy that's with me. And he's like, well, that kind of makes sense because that's an old abandoned insane asylum. And I'm like,
Wow.
well, that makes sense because I do not want, like, I don't even like looking at it right now. Like, I want to be as far away from that place as possible. And I
Mhm.
don't think I necessarily have like any God-given intuition or anything like that, but I do think that being around an entity, what I believe growing up, has given me at least some sort of ability to be like, nope, don't like that energy whatsoever. Like, get
Mhm.
me the fuck away from that. But in the same realm, I grew up with what I think was a very nice entity. Like, the way I was describing it at Mimosas this afternoon was like, she was always like, haha, like, gotcha, bitch, I'm here, like, just in case you forgot that I was around, like, that credit card's going to go missing for like 24 hours. And then guess what? It's going to be on the countertop, like right where you've been looking for it this whole time. But when you get into that other realm of like, I don't like this, I want to get the fuck away from here, I feel like I can at least have like a sense of the good entities, if you will, and then the ones that are like, nope, let's move on. I want to get away from here as fast as I can.
Bro, lucky for you, I don't think I've got that. Like I think with those experiences I had in Idaho, I have I just have the nah, miss me with that shit, dog. Like that's the only thing that I'm like attuned to. Like other than that, like cool. But if I start getting a weird vibe like at a shit like that, because we used to fuck around in like the cemetery on campus in college, and there was a couple nights. Granted, there might have been some substances ingested, um, but we were walking around and I was like, I don't know, dog. Like something feels off right now, and I get like that weird, creepy, like tingling in the small of your back, like where your fight or flight's about ready to kick in, and I was like, I don't know about all this. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, after those experiences, I definitely like I'm not skeptical of like there being a good and evil on the other side, um, and the more people can prove, like I guess, like straight up prove that they can talk to the other side, the less and less skeptical I get every time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, and just see what you saw. I mean, it would be hard to be skeptical.
yeah,
I feel like you have experiences, you you can't really explain them. You can't unexplain the spiritual side.
no, and I've told this story to people before, and they're like, I don't know, there's no way, like that stuff's not real, and I was like, you're trying to discredit what I saw with my own two eyeballs, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
all right, like go ahead, but like,
Well, and there's a funny side about mysticism, I feel like, to where you can never absolutely like have an answer to explain it, to be like it'd be ghosts, like there's always that little like grain of salt in there to where it's like, well, it could have been like in your case, Ben, like that dude could have just had an extreme mental illness and been suffering from delirium, like again, you could make a medical case to where that's what that guy was experiencing, and like you were a kid and you were freaked out, so it made you sick to your stomach. Like you could in theory explain it that way, but when you're in that moment and you're experiencing what you're experiencing and someone tries to explain it away like that, you're like, no, dude, I'm telling you, I know what I was feeling and I know what was going on, and I can tell you that, like, yes, you could explain it away by, medical science or whatever, but that's not what was fucking happening. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can promise you that's not what was going on.
yeah, like that's one of those most aggravating parts about the movies, like is when they bring in the scientists and are like, oh well, it could be this. I'm like, no, dog, just believe them for what they say. Like, come on. But anyway,
You can feel it. You can
yeah,
tell that.
it's it's like this weird feeling you just like get through like what people in the far east would say, like through your chakra, pretty much, like
Yeah.
in your body, you can feel it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to explain that away. Got a couple more questions in here from the chat's actually asking a lot of questions. I'm just gonna pick out a couple
Cool.
because I don't want to like lambaste you with all of them at once.
Oh, that's okay.
So this one is said, do you think people who are deeply empathetic may be inadvertently picking up on supernatural energies without being aware of it?
Yes, absolutely.
There was
Easy
one.
answer.
Yeah, that was super
Mhm.
fast. Let's go. Okay, rapid fire time.
Perfect. Great.
So we already kind of went over how you recover, I guess a little bit how you recover your emotional energy after dealing with a supernatural encounter. You said, you have your process, salt bath and meditation and that kind of stuff. Is there anything else that helps you like recover emotionally?
Drink a lot of water during readings. That actually is a game changer.
The other one, do you feel compartmentalizing your mental and emotional energy between what you use during your supernatural experiences and what you use during your day-to-day life is important? I'm going to go out and say yes, even before you.
Yes, definitely. You have to. Like I said, it's just very, very, very draining. And if you were reading people all day, you wouldn't be able to function.
Right. Of course, we've got somebody already in here being like, does she read anything on me? Like,
Oh my.
I'm
Who
pretty
is
sure.
it? Who's asking the question?
One guess.
Combo?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't work like that combo.
Pulled up right now. Yeah.
Off the little bit that I know, I'm pretty sure it doesn't work like that.
You know what? Normally I would be down to do readings too. I am still doing hair, and I'm pretty tired. I'm not as tuned in as I normally am today. I
Right.
worked 3 in a row, like 12-hour days. So yes, it has been.
Rough. And that was one thing
Yeah.
that Alex and I kind of talked about a little bit when you were booked and everything. Where we were kind of like, I wonder if she's gonna pick up anything on us, but at the same time, we're like, I'm not gonna have her on here and just be like, all right, time for a reading. Like, let's hit it. Like, if it happens, it happens. But if not, like, obviously, like, we're not gonna sit here and beat the bush about it.
No, I'll let you guys know. And after the podcast, you guys should come in and get readings. And I know
I would love
Mary,
to, but I live in New Jersey, so
well, we could do virtual.
this is true.
Yes.
Because I have been curious. I've like debated, like going back and forth, been like going to somebody who like claims, and now this is gonna sound callous. I don't mean to be like a dick, but claims to be like a medium. I've been like, I wonder, because everybody has that like natural curiosity in themselves where they want to know like what the future holds, or who maybe a dead relative or something is like trying to communicate, or like you want to talk to somebody that you like were super close with that passed on. So like everybody has that. So I feel like everybody's at least considered it once.
It's a good experience. I actually had a client recently whose dad just passed away, and she had a lot of guilt because of the home she had put him in. And that was a very amazing experience for her. Just like a lot of closure.
Yeah, I feel like that would be very cathartic for that person, like for people like that that want to know. That's
so your typical reading, they come in off the street, right? And I'd assume there's some sort of fee associated with sitting down and having a reading with you, correct? So that person pays, and then so what is that? I guess climate's not the right word, but what does that setting look like to where you get in and you're trying to pick up something off of this individual? Like, this is going to sound super naive, but like, is there candles involved? Like, what? Like, is there music, or like what's the setting? I guess that's best for you sitting down with an individual and trying to accomplish what they want to accomplish.
So I always do a meditation before I start my day, and I'll normally start to pick up messages from their loved ones regardless if they've booked an appointment already or not. So I'll start to see different things while I meditate. I'll get different messages. I light a white candle. I don't necessarily know how much that actually does anything or not, but it's kind of just something you do as a psychic medium. So I'll light a white candle. It's supposed to be able to invite spirits in, although I feel like they already come in, but I do it anyways. I'll sage spray. I'm going to start playing some light music. I'm actually trying to get my setting a little bit different, make it more warm and inviting.
So it's not necessarily like a proximity thing to where like the person gets close to you in proximity, like physical proximity, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm picking up, Uncle Herbert or whatever. It's more like that morning when that person is committed to like, hey, I'm going to go talk to this person. You start to feel more like a calling, I guess, or like a draw from that person's energy.
Yes. Yep. And sometimes I do see random spirits. I don't know who they're connected to, and I don't find out either. So
they're probably all from me. It makes sense.
Probably. Yes. Maybe before the podcast, I did see an older man who, I don't know how to describe the hats. It was like one of those flat kind of like olden day golfing hats.
Stop it.
Really?
Stop.
And his eyes were really wide too. Like, and he was I was sleeping and I woke up around, I don't know, 3 or 4, and I could see him kind of like pushing me a little bit. I felt like he was trying to wake me up, and his eyes were really wide. So it made me wonder if maybe he did that to his loved ones here, like opened his eyes, just joking around.
Alex?
I don't know.
Why do you know who that is?
I kind of feel like I might know who that is.
It was definitely a grandpa figure, like an older man. And I want to say I did see an older woman too. I was kind of in and out of sleeping, so I didn't get a really good look on her, but he definitely woke me up and wanted me to know who he was, and I never found out. So
It could be. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with this. um, I'll tell you about an experience I had when I was a young kid. Um, maybe a little bit later on, but
okay. I'm interested.
I'm intrigued now too. Why do we have to
Yeah.
wait?
I mean, oh, okay, shit. All right. So when I was a kid, my grandpa, uh, before I was even born yet, actually, my mom's dad, so my grandpa on my mom's side, he was a cancer research uh, scientist at Ball State University. They named the museum after him because or not the museum, the library, excuse me. When my mom was 13, he dropped dead of a heart attack, like just out of nowhere one day. And when I was a kid, I would have dreams all the time that an individual wearing a hat like that
Oh,
would
wow.
always be like, he'd always be like taking me to like a petting zoo, or like he'd be taking me to a carnival, and it was always in my dreams. But like I felt like it was like my grandpa. One of the most vivid dreams I have, going back as young as I can remember, is I was petting goats with him, and he was wearing like his blazer and his pants, and like he was dressed like a scientist, and he had one of those hats on. And I would tell my mom about this guy like all the time in my dreams, and she'd, be like, yeah, maybe, there's something there, whatever, but never really took it too seriously. And then one day she's making this fruit salad that was my grandpa on her side's favorite salad, apparently. And I'm like, oh, you're making Grandpa Gordon's favorite salad. My first name is Gordon after him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Gordon Alexander Brummel. I go by Alex, but my first name is his first name. And she'd be like, what do you mean, like Grandpa Gordon's favorite salad? I'd be like, yeah, Grandpa, like his favorite salad is that salad that you know. She'd be like, that's the fucking weirdest thing, like his favorite salad. And like we'd be in the store and she'd be picking out pillows or something, and I'd be like, oh, you should get that orange pillow because that's Grandpa Gordon's favorite color. And again, it's like orange. It's not like green or blue or like some normal average kid's favorite color. And sure enough, Grandpa Gordon's favorite color was orange. And so I distinctly remember these dreams growing up as a kid where like Grandpa Gordon would be taking me to a carnival or like a fair or like a petting zoo. And I've always thought it was weird that growing up, like the grandpa that I never met, but the grandpa that I was named after, supposedly, I guess I'm fully committed and believe that he was coming to see me in my dreams and being like, hey, I want to meet my grandson. I want to do some of these like
This was all the stuff that I would have done with
things.
you if I had stayed.
Absolutely.
Exactly, dude. And it's weird as fuck that you mentioned like a guy, because I never knew what kind of hat it was. All I could describe to my mom was like the type of hat I saw. And it was like in high school, because her family isn't really well connected. But she finally showed me a picture of him in like the garb that I was like, holy shit, like that's fucking him. Like that is the dude that was in my dreams. Like he always wore the same thing, that one little, it's not like a Peaky Blinders hat where it like clips on the front, but it's like one of those old, like, think if you're at like a horse racetrack or something like that.
Yes. That's what I saw too. So that's crazy. And I had no idea who this was. I was asking my friends, like, I don't feel like this is related to you guys. Maybe I'll just never know who it was. And I was telling them before the podcast, but this spirit woke me out of my sleep and was like shoving me to wake me up. So that's really cool. And it would make sense. But I would say you have mediumship abilities.
I don't, again, like
Enter the skeptic.
I believe in all of this, don't get me wrong, right? Like, but I don't, both of my sisters swear that they have some sort of like intuneship with
Mhm.
this whole realm. And I don't know if it's just me not wanting to like accept it or like really wanting to think about it, because I really don't like, I love my friends, I love everyone that's in my life, but I don't want to be talking to their dead grandmas. You know what I mean? Like I don't, like I got enough shit to worry about in life that I don't want to have to accept that either.
I bet you that's probably part of the reason why you haven't, is like what Emily was saying earlier, is you kind of just consciously, subconsciously, like shut it off so you
Mhm.
don't have to deal with it.
Well, and there's only been one other time where dream wise I've felt like some shit really like happened. And I worked at a golf course for a long time. And my boss at the golf course was one of like four of my bosses, but he had a prosthetic leg from the right knee down. Really good golfer, could beat the shit out of practically anyone with half of the leg, you know, on the golf course. And the same summer that I got a full-time job and I wasn't going to come back to the golf course anyway, management made a lot of changes and they weren't going to have any of the same guys back that he had hired to come work at the golf course anymore. And I always kind of thought, like, dude, that's fucked up. Like, he's not even reaching out to us, you know, to let us know. And my brother was working there also, so he had to find a different job. It was kind of one of those deals where I'm like, dude, that's kind of fucked up. Like, you never reach out and say anything. And like 6 months later, I get a call. I'm teaching preschool at the time, and my buddy's like, "Hey, Dennis just died," and this is the guy that hired us at the golf course. And I'm like, "What? Like, there's no way Dennis is dead." He's like, "Yeah, dude, Dennis fucking was on a camping trip with his brother, and then a couple days later, they just found him dead inside of his apartment." And so I'm at work trying to retain all this, and we go to his funeral a couple days later, and I always kind of felt bad that I left on bad terms with him, like mentally, you know. And I had a dream a couple nights later that I was in line with my mom at the grocery store. She's like, "Hey, I forgot the bread. Will you go grab a loaf of bread real quick, like while we're standing in line?" So I'm running down the aisles and I turn right on the bread aisle, and Dennis is standing in the middle of the aisle, and he's standing there and he's just grinning at me like the little bitch that he is, like just standing there, just smiling at me. And this motherfucker has shorts on and he has two perfectly good legs, just standing there
Oh,
smiling
that's
at me.
amazing.
And I looked at him and he kind of looked at me and I was like in shock. And then I woke up and I was like, that motherfucker, like, he would come to me just with both of his brand new legs, just sitting there, just fucking grinning at me, like, yo, we're good. Like, hey, I'm on the other side. Things are fine. We're fine. You're fine. Everything's going to be fine. Just keep living. And those are the only two things, like, dream wise, that's ever really
Mhm.
got me. Like, I think there's a way for them to kind of cross over. Something about when we're sleeping and then they're on the other side, they can kind of come on over and be like, "Hey,
Mhm.
everything's good. We're good here."
Well, and we are spirits too. So we're spirits in human bodies. So if you look at it that way, it's like, how could we not all communicate somehow?
Yeah,
But
that
those are
makes
Yeah.
sense.
experiences.
So I have a question before I get back to chat, and the other couple questions are in there. I have a question, kind of going back to like how you communicate with the spirits, and like, you know, you said that lions are a symbol for you. So I guess, what does that communication look like? Like, what are some of the, I guess maybe some of the other symbols, or how does that communication like happen, and what does it look like?
So I will consciously connect to a spirit if I'm connecting to one of your spirits, and I'll consciously connect to you and say, okay, who wants to come through? For my client whose dad had passed, the first thing he showed me or told me was sexual abuse. I wasn't seeing it, but he was bringing up sexual abuse. So, and I guess I saw his face. And I don't know, sexual abuse just came to me. Things will pop in your head. It's, you just know, things just pop in your head. It's really crazy. But I asked her about that, and she said yes, he had been sexually abused when he was younger by his stepdad. And the reason why he was bringing that up first is because he didn't hug her growing up, and she didn't understand why. So that was very important for her to know. And then it's kind of annoying, but immediately after that, I see a Santa Claus riding on a sleigh in a forest, and it's weird when stuff like that pops up because I don't know if it's going to connect with my client, but she said he collected Santa Clauses. They would call him Santa Claus. So things will just kind of pop in like a movie.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
So would you have had any way of knowing that they called him Santa Claus or that he collected Santa Clauses? Or I mean, like, that sounds like a very random thing, and like you said, like,
Right.
you don't even really know that it's going to connect with the client. So
No, I'm an acquaintance with this person, but it's not, I mean, I didn't know her dad. I didn't even know about her dad. All I know is he was in the hospital. He had dementia. So there's absolutely no way I would know that. He showed me keys, and I asked her about that. She said he gave her his lanyard with all his keys on it, but I would never know these things.
it's wild.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at y'all.
That's
Chad is
Oh,
just
no,
like
it's
saying
okay.
some shit right now. That's got me. Anyway, there are a couple questions that were chilling in chat. Let me see. Right here. So the first one is, what do you normally need to know about a person to be able to read them, or is there anything that you need to know like prior, or is it just kind of like you know this person's coming to you for a reading, so that's pretty much all you need?
You can just kind of ask in your mind or ask your spirit guides. I communicate with God, Jesus, whoever you want to call it, but I just kind of ask to connect with that person. That's all I really need. A picture is sometimes nice, but you don't need it.
Don't need it. Interesting. Okay. And then the second one is like, can you do a blind reading? I guess that's a big question for like some people. They always ask like psychic mediums, like, oh, can you just like blind read me like out of nowhere or anything like that?
Yeah, you normally can, unless, like I said, you're really drained or already really tired. But yeah, for the most
So
part,
you would say like most of them are pretty much like blind readings for the most part.
they all, yeah. I mean, I'll read my friends, but I also don't know things about their loved ones.
Right. Combo, she already said that she's not got anything on you, bro. That's not how it works. My man is really trying.
I'm
He's like,
not.
put me in. He's like, come on. I want to know. That's not how it works.
I'm not gonna lie. That shit about you seeing a guy like waking you up in the middle of the night and wearing the hat. That's kind of got me a little bit like, dude, that's fucking a little bit weird. Like,
That's crazy. That's
It makes sense that if I was coming to talk to you guys, that someone would show up if they really did want to talk to you.
well, and my grandma, like, I've never had anything with her anywhere close to uh like seeing her on the other side or anything like that. But she basically drank herself into oblivion. Like, she did her best to kill herself after my grandpa died. And it would make sense that there'd be like a woman presence being like, hey, this guy's so important. Like, hey, like, because he was her fucking life. He was her rock. Like, she didn't live without him. She might have taken breaths, but she didn't live without him. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit fucking weird. I'm a little bit like, wow, I did not expect that to happen whatsoever. But
my
When
level
I,
of skepticism just like took a hard nosedive on that one. I was like, all right, I'm like sold at this point.
well,
it's
with
fucking
him
weird,
too,
bro.
when he came to me, he was very serious. So I wonder if he was serious with you too. I feel like he probably had a gentle side with you, but he came to me very serious.
You could not have described it any better. Like, it wasn't like a grandpa that like had a bag of tricks, like, oh, look at this quarter, I'm gonna, bite in half or whatever. It was always very prim and proper. And he made it known that he loved me, but it also wasn't like sunshine and rainbows and like we're laughing and joking. Like it was always very serious, like very straightforward. And like, again, I could tell he loved me and he was there for a reason, but it was never like, we're here to like go see a clown. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we're going to the petting zoo and I want to do this with you because my grandson.
I think for him, he would want you to start probably communicating with him again, just knowing he's always there with you because you share the same name too. You guys are going to be very connected. So yeah, you should be talking to him or ask for signs from him.
I don't even know what the first step of that looks like though. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, this is good. Yes, I like this.
Explain
I wouldn't even know.
Just kind of talk to him like he's with you. Like when you're on the way back home from your bachelor party, just be like, hey, what's up? Thanks for coming through. Do you want to like give me a sign that you're around me or that was real, what she said? And you'll get a sign. But if he was coming through to me that hard, I don't normally have that happen. It actually shocked me. So he obviously does want to get a hold of you.
Well, we'll talk off air. Maybe we can figure that out. And maybe you can give me some tips on how to do that. Cause like I said, I don't even know like the first step other than just like, you know, talking to what feels like myself.
It doesn't feel like that at first. It is as simple as just talking to them though, and bringing their spirit alive.
Well, maybe he'll keep trying to like channel you and be like, hey, Alex, do this. Blink twice if I know you're there.
Maybe he'll show up tonight.
I'm interested to see
maybe
how that
he will. That'd be dope.
plays out.
I hope he does.
What, I guess, without breaching any kind of confidentiality, what I guess was like one of your like favorite readings that you've ever done, like something that left like a really like I guess wholesome or positive impact on like you and the client.
So this one's really crazy, but it's more of, let me know if you want another story after this one. But
I am here for stories all night, and we can, once this is over, we can just sit here and talk stories the rest of the night. I don't care.
Okay.
I will eat this up.
My grandma is very, very strict Christian. She 100% does not believe in spirits. I'm not very close with her, but she had mentioned that after my grandpa died, she felt very alone and like he was never with her, and he was her rock. So she took care of him when he was dying, and it just broke my heart that she felt alone. And I was bawling my eyes out when I left there, and I was praying to God, and I was talking to my grandpa, and I'm like, will you please just give her a sign that you're there and she's not alone? And I said, even if I never find out about it, if God is okay with that, please show up to her so she knows. And this is the craziest story ever. So I actually came out as gay to my grandma, which I was very scared to do. I wrote her a letter and I just mailed it to her. I was scared to tell her in person. And she texted me and said, I got your letter, and I also got a message from your grandpa that goes hand in hand with the letter. And I was shocked. So, like I said, my grandma does not believe in spirits. She told me that she was sleeping and she heard my grandpa calling her name, and she woke up and she could see him sitting in a chair in her room. And he was telling her, Diana, it's time to wake up. And that was it, but she fell back asleep. But that was a super crazy story.
That's wild.
And amazing.
Very amazing, like at the same time.
Yeah.
That it came like at the same time like as your letter. That's great. And I don't want to get too personal, but like your grandma was like accepting of you like coming out and everything. Or was that like, you don't honestly, you don't have to answer. Like it's a super, like that could be too personal. And I don't want to like.
No, it's okay. I love my grandma very much. She's very old school. My grandpa was very controlling of her. and she wasn't really allowed to have her own opinion when it came to things like psychics or people being gay. And so she's had a really hard time with it. She actually didn't even come to my wedding, but we're slowly starting to have a relationship. I love her. I respect her. It's just very hard for her to be vulnerable and
I get that.
understanding, but she's been respectful of me and my partner. So
That's good.
she tries her best.
That's good. One thing that came up for me while you were talking about, you were talking to God and your grandpa at the same time is how do you reconcile like your faith and, I mean, if it's still there,
Mm-hmm.
and like your mediumship like together, given that, as you grew up and like I grew up, we both were like, no, this is like, that's not a
Mm-hmm.
thing.
It's been very hard actually. And I can imagine you would feel that way too, relating to that. But over time, I've just come to realize that the messages I get are very helpful to people and they help them grieve.
Hmm.
So I just feel that if God really didn't want me to do that, it probably wouldn't have that effect on somebody, or it would be more evil based.
Right. Which is, it's a lot of those things that like for those of us like in the chat and for me that I grew up like basically staunch Christian, coming to
Mm-hmm.
the terms of reconciling things, being like, if God didn't want XYZ to happen, then why is it happening? For like mediums or even like people's sexuality or anything like that. Like if it wasn't supposed to be a thing, and given what everyone knows about what they're taught for God being omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, all that stuff, then like those things wouldn't exist. So having the church beat into your brain essentially that these things are evil, they're not what God wants, blah blah blah, and then seeing them happen with your own eyes, it's a tough pill to swallow and it's hard to reconcile it. And I'm thankful that I went to grew up and I guess got out of the church and then went away to school and had started thinking with a more open mind, because it helped me come to terms with a lot of things like this kind of stuff, and the fact that uh, if he didn't want it to happen, it wouldn't happen
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Well,
And he doesn't hate people given the fact whatever their sexuality is or anything like that, because
Mm-hmm.
it's as we grow up and we look at things, it's how people are born. So if they weren't supposed to be like that, then it wouldn't be like that, and he's not going to send someone to hell for that reason.
No.
well, and to play biblical studies major for a second, and not even really like devil's advocate, but I think I understand where the text comes from in the Bible that's speaking about not seeking out like sorcery or witchcraft or quote unquote mediums back in those days, because I think we can all agree that, well, in fact, I know we can all agree that we've had encounters with very negative, bad entities that I never want to come close to ever again. So if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a very harmful practice to try to encounter, like, say, using a Ouija board. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, you can encounter some very negative realms of spiritual world that you don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to do with. So if you believe in the Bible, hell's a really real thing, and heaven is another very real thing. And if you just go wading into those waters of trying to encounter those on the other side without having any idea what you're doing, or if you don't have some sort of faith in your heart while you're doing it, you're making yourself very susceptible to some negative shit that you do not want anything to do with.
Yeah, and I
Mm-hmm.
would say because
That can follow you around and make your life.
for the most part, those bad energies, whatever you want to call them, usually present themselves as something positive and good in the first place. And then as you engage with it more and more, then, and this sounds kind of cinematic, but it's how it happens. As you engage with it and continue to engage with it and get sucked in, then it slowly twists. And then you're like, oh shit, never mind, this is bad. But at that point, it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah, it's crazy. And I would definitely tell people not to just go out by themselves. If you take anything out of this from whatever we've said, do not go out and just start fucking with that kind of shit like
Yeah.
by yourself.
Hmm. You want to protect yourself. Do some form of protection. I always ask to only be able to speak with the highest good.
And I feel like that's what a lot of mediums do once they figure out that that's an ability that they have, because like Teresa did it, you've did it. I feel like it's a lot just because you don't want to open yourself up to that, like that evil and that negative
No,
energy. Like
absolutely.
nothing good comes from that.
No.
So
one thing I really do love about how it's almost like spirituality is becoming a fad. And I love that because there's always just been, it seems like Christian, Catholic, Jewish, which are great, but there's this whole group of people who don't fit in those. And I like that this can bring new people into their spirituality who didn't fit somewhere else.
exactly, and I I like that as well, and I kind of wish that we would get away from like religion constructs, like different denominations and that kind of thing. Um, just based off the fact of the conversations that Alex and I have had earlier, that there's a lot of different religions that are tied in together based around the same things. Maybe they call it a different name, but it's all pretty much branching from the same spot, that we just, our differences, man-made differences, have caused us to denominate everything in whatever way. So if there was a way, maybe through mediums or just spirituality in its own ambiguous area, could help us like break away from constructs, I think it'd be very helpful and like almost healing in a way for a lot of people. But the one thing about being able to, like, just communicate with the other side, it does give me callbacks to like Catholicism a little bit, and people that are like stuck in purgatory. I'm not saying that the spirits on the other side are stuck in purgatory and waiting on their ticket to go to heaven, but it kind of has some correlation to that anyway, and that's just based off me being like Catholic for a long time. So it's kind of interesting that it's mediums are, I guess, for me, a way of saying that it's not strict black and white. People go straight to heaven and can never communicate with anybody else like ever again. That there's kind of like an open roadway back and forth. So it's interesting.
I feel like I'm
and I don't even think. You feel like what? Sorry, I missed that.
I feel like I keep picking up on people's energy now. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but I feel like I keep picking up on, and maybe someone listening, but it's a woman, but I would say a younger woman, and it wouldn't be with you, Alex. I don't think. Darker hair, maybe like a not super dark brown, medium brown. I know that's pretty vague. Let me see what else I see though. Maybe 20s. See if anybody can connect to that. And if not, that's totally fine. I'll just keep saying if I feel like somebody.
Maybe somebody in chat. I don't have access to chat right now.
I don't think,
like you
anybody
said, it's not ringing a bell with me for sure.
Not really. My eye got really itchy all of a sudden for some reason, but that's probably unrelated. It's not my sister, chat. My sister is well and truly alive, unless for some reason something horrible happened, but I don't think that's the case. Dark hair, did it 28?
Yeah, did anyone have like a girlfriend that passed, or maybe a fiance? Or just a really good friend? Maybe it'll be someone later.
Maybe. I don't know.
I do have a lot of friends in the room next, but I don't have that.
You guys will have to let me know if anything comes.
Chat, just think about it if that happens. Alex, fuck it. Ask anybody in the room. See if that hits with anybody.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let me ask.
Dang, that's super strange. I don't know. You started talking about that, my like left eye got really itchy, but I'm gonna assume that that's probably unrelated because off the top of my head, I don't.
Well, it's interesting because it could be when you when spirits are around, sometimes it can feel itchy or like cobwebs are on you.
Yeah,
So
I
it
don't
could
know.
be.
Like you started talking to like the underneath my left eye. There's like a little point where it's like kind of itchy. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm trying to think if I know anybody that the female, the dark haired 20s. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know anybody like I guess that fits that at least has passed, or at least that I know of
Mm-hmm.
that's passed.
Hey, I
Strange.
got it. Come here, Santos.
No shit.
Put that on your left ear. Santos. You got it?
What's up?
What's going on,
Hello.
Santos?
Not much.
Take a
Come here real quick.
take a seat, my man. Welcome to the podcast. How we doing?
Good beer.
Hi.
Doing good. Who's the psychic here?
Yeah, it's
My name's
Emily.
Emily.
Emily, yep.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
So
What's up?
I had a spirit coming through. I'd say maybe around 20s ish, could be a little younger, and darker hair, not too dark. Maybe like a friend, a fiance, a sister,
Mhm.
somewhere around that. It wouldn't be like a mom or a. You feel connected to her?
Right now?
Similar who has passed like that?
Sure.
Okay. Let me just see what else I'm getting with this. I felt a very strong presence with this spirit, and I wouldn't normally just be like, oh, I'm getting this, but it was giving me anxiety. So I just felt like I really needed to.
hmm
Was this a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if she wore like white sneakers a lot? Or was she really into her shoes?
Mm,
Maybe,
no,
maybe.
sneaker.
Let's see what else she says. I'm seeing a ring. So either were you guys engaged or you were going to propose to her? Were you thinking about it? Okay. She's very much with you. When I said, are you with him? I got chills automatically. She just wants you to be happy. And let's see what else. It's just going really fast. She said one of the ways she'll communicate with you is through feathers.
hmm
So
Butterflies.
Okay. Watch for feathers too, because I'm seeing,
Birds.
I'd say more feathers. See if after you leave this, you start to notice that. Yeah, I can tell that you guys loved each other a lot. Have you had a hard time finding somebody like her, a connection like her? Like that deep of a friendship? She really wants you to be happy, and whether you're with someone or not right now, she wants you to be happy. So she's telling me if you're not already with that, I feel like you're going to find somebody that you do connect with on that level, and she's going to send that person to you. So whether you're with that person or not right now, I don't really want to get in the middle, but you will find somebody you are going to connect more with on that level. So just keep open-minded about that. Don't settle until you find someone that really fits you like that. But tell me if this makes sense, but her part in your life was to help you feel a really strong sense of love, and her passing will make you as sad as it is, it'll make you a better parent and it'll make you a better husband or partner in the future. And just that every day is not promised. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
Cool. Do you have any questions?
Ask?
I'm sorry?
Like to ask?
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, she loves you very much, just so you know. And she is always with you. So I can see like her, almost like her, it's gonna sound kind of weird, but like her breath on you. If you ever feel like a whisper like across your face or something like that, that will be her too. She will always be with you. So don't feel like she'll ever go anywhere, because she won't, and she does want you to be happy. So awesome. I'm glad I could connect you. Have fun at the party.
Ooh, bro, that makes my heart happy. Like, that's so nice. I could tell my man was like very skeptical of it, but like I hope he takes something away from that. That's super.
I hope he
That's
does.
super awesome. Like I'm gonna get emotional. That was super great. Damn.
You know what? I couldn't hold back on that one. It was like my anxiety was so heightened, and I was feeling very calm with you guys up until that point.
Yeah, I could tell that
All
one
right.
was coming through like crazy hard. Like you wanted to get that one out. You know what? I'm glad that I did. I'm glad Santos was there to hear it. As skeptical as he looked, I don't care. I hope he got something out of that one, and that sticks with him.
No, absolutely.
God damn, that's wholesome as fuck.
Guys can be more closed off too than women with this stuff, so sometimes they don't really that much.
Well, and as soon as I went out there and asked the question, everybody was like, Santos. Like, yeah, for sure, him. Like,
wow.
It was, yeah.
Yeah,
weird how shit like that happens.
That's crazy. I'll be right back, y'all.
Close connection.
It's nice to at least be able to have like a switch though, so you don't feel it all the time. You know, like a proverbial switch, I guess.
I'm very tuned in right now, and I didn't, because I've been really tired. So because I didn't know how in tune I would be with you guys. So, but yes, I'm tapped.
Good. I'm glad that you're tapped in.
Yes, me too.
If my grandpa wants to come back forward, he's more than welcome to. But that's always been one of those things, like growing up, you know, I've always told the story, but I've never, I guess in my adulthood, had like a strong case for being like, yeah, this is real. Like, you know, he was coming to me in my dreams all those years ago. It was just one of those things I grew up remembering. And my mom was always like, yeah, you knew some weird shit about your grandpa. Like, that I never told you, and you just somehow knew it after he quote unquote saw you, or you saw him in your dreams. So
I feel like with him, it's funny, but he's kind of like being stern and pointing. Like, I want him to get more serious. Like, he's telling you that he wants you to get more serious. Like, more, just everything more like structured. Different parts of your life.
Yeah,
well, I mean, right now, like, right now it's a weird time right now, because I'm living in Des Moines Monday through Friday, and I'm going back to Omaha on the weekends, and it is like a kind of, I don't know, it's kind of floating out there right now, trying to get things figured out. So that wouldn't necessarily surprise me out of him, especially.
Yeah, I'll let you know if things start coming through.
For sure. Sounds good. Alex, is he, you know, I told you, you gotta get serious, man. You're 30, almost 31. You gotta get serious.
Yeah, it's like
I'm 32, bro.
Just kidding. You're almost 33.
Is there more questions in the chat right now, Ben?
Let me
I
ask.
don't even have.
Hey, chat. You guys got anything else? At all? Questions wise, combo. If you ask me one more time to
not-
put you in, coach, I'm going to fly to Canada and smack the fuck out of you. All right, that's it. That's it. You're doing it now.
You don't-
I'm gonna go get my passport renewed. I'm taking a weekend trip. I'm gonna come backhand you, and then I'm gonna enjoy Niagara Falls and come home. Not how it works. If you would like your information later, then maybe we can book you a session.
I did have a question that I wanted to ask because most recently I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff on Native American Indians that were in America before settlers got over here and kind of pushed them out. And one thing that I found very interesting was that individuals who identified as basically trans individuals, so primarily men who morally identified as women, they were kind of sacred in the American Indian tribes because they thought that those people had both the masculinity mind and the feminine mind. And a lot of them they relied on as mysticists or
Shaman?
those that could, not even shaman necessarily, but those who could like predict the future. And there was one particular instance I was reading about where it was right outside of the Fort Kearney, so in Nebraska, Kearney, Nebraska. Fort Kearney. A bunch of American Indian tribes banded together to basically like dupe and draw this this group of settlers out into this quarry where they weren't supposed to go in. And then once they duped them into this quarry, they basically closed the circle on them and slaughtered like these American settlers who were like the army, if you will. And the day before the battle, they brought one of these mysticists out there who was a gentleman who more identified as a female, what have you. And they said, or that individual said, I'm feeling like I have like 78 feathers in my hands. Like, and that represents the amount of American soldiers that you guys are going to kill. And there was 80 American soldiers killed. So, someone, this is where the question, I want to be as respectful as possible posing this question. Someone with a female partner having draws to like the mysticist, like medium type mindset. Do you think there's a correlation there? Do you think that it can be anyone, or is there a true correlation there? I guess is my question.
Okay, so do you mean, ask me that one more time.
So are you trying to pose as someone who I guess who's
here's my question, I guess, maybe
less
proposed
PC?
in a different way. Do you think someone that, like, if I were a homosexual, like, and I was attracted to men, do you think that would pose me at a greater likelihood to be more in tune with those types of feelings? Because it seemed to me like reading through history, especially Native American history, to where they leaned on those people as like mysticists or someone who could read the future. They held them to, they almost respected them more within their culture because they felt like that person could see both realms, both sides, I guess you could say. And it I don't know, it just posed the question to me as I was preparing for this interview. Like, do you think there's a correlation there between maybe having not the like rigid, or not even rigid, but like the ideals of mainly the people around you? Does that make sense? Versus like kind of having your own set of ideologically poised type of attractions versus just what everyone else around you
you
sees or
mean, like-
feels or
Okay. So if you're more like open to other things, would that make you more open
I
to
feel like that's
your-
what Alex is getting at. It's if
Okay,
you're
okay.
more of an
Correct.
open-minded person about like everything, if you have a predisposition to be more attuned to
Mhm.
the spiritual side of
I'm
things.
trying to say this as respectfully as I possibly
Oh,
can.
yeah.
So yeah.
No, that makes sense. I'm super chill, so if you don't say everything absolutely correct, I'm not gonna get mad. But
Okay. Yeah.
I could imagine. I've never really thought about that, but I could imagine. I would say so a lot of people would disagree with this as far as if they are not open to their mediumship abilities. I do believe that everyone has intuition, everyone's able to connect with the other side. So I think that would make sense because if you are more open, yeah, I guess you would probably be able to connect easier versus
Well,
if you
so-
go rigid. Yeah, I
And
know.
I guess another, I think what you're saying also, forgive me if I'm wrong, is like, so there's obviously the idea that if you're born attracted to the same sex as you, that you're genetically predisposed to having that sort of intuition or desire. Like that's not something you choose to be necessarily. So that would be like in that same realm of thinking, like, but I think you just answered it. So not just because you're genetically disposed to having, an attraction towards a same member of your gender doesn't necessarily mean you're more predisposed to having a connection with those who have passed on. So I think what you're saying is the two don't really correlate, but having a more open mind puts you at a position where you can accept it easier.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know the answer to that question. That is something I'm curious about though, too. That's interesting.
That's a very loaded and deep question. Like there's so
Yeah.
many different like ways that you could take that and run with it.
Yeah.
That'd be something super
Well,
like
yeah,
interesting to like research like in off time or something like that. Is just to like see.
One thing I will
I've done a. Go ahead.
No, so I think we all, like as humans, one of our goals is to balance our masculine and feminine. Not that we ever fully will, but maybe the more balanced we are with that, the more open we would be too. With as far as like being a trans person, if you do have like that feminine side and that masculine side balanced, or well, I guess if you're trans, you don't. I don't know. I'm probably saying it wrong now too. So
No, I think you're saying it exactly right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. For
yeah.
sure. But your take would be there's not necessarily one side or another side that's more like predisposed. It just kind of happens to everyone. We all have the ability to, whether we're in touch with it or not, is a different story, basically.
I think so, but I could be wrong, but that's just how I feel.
And I'm going to have to try to talk to my grandpa based on our conversation.
Yes, absolutely. He definitely does want to talk to you if I got woken up in the middle of the night. So very adamant.
I got another.
Send me a text.
Okay.
I got another question. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier on, given faith and your abilities. So, I guess how, and I swear I hope I didn't ask this already, but like how did you come to like reconcile both of those things together? Given that how you grew up, and then accepting that you are a psychic medium.
So it was a struggle for me, honestly, just because growing up Christian, I grew up Christian from a very young age. So that is all I knew. And I was very fearful of connecting to the spirit world. I would say just in the past couple of years, I've let go of a lot of that fear. As far as reconciling, I just got to the point where I'm like, even it came into like me being gay and having a relationship with God. It was like, well, if God really didn't want me to be that bad, does he just want me to be single forever? Or like, what would his plan be with this? And as far as being able to connect to the spirit realm, I had said, the messages I give people are very helpful to them. They genuinely do help those people. And so I feel like that is God's work. So that's kind of how I reconcile that. And I do feel like I have a close connection to God. So I just have to run with that, basically.
No, I can see that. I could see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense of him using people, because there's been examples of it throughout. You know, if you want to go back biblically, the examples of him using and speaking through people to help other people through a time. So I like that. I like the way that you put that he's using you to help people. That I like that a lot.
Especially people that don't have religion bases,
Right.
because they don't really, a lot of them don't know who to seek out. And I like to be able to be that person to let them know they can have a relationship with God. They don't have to be religious.
Right, and it would perhaps help somebody who is not religious be able to kind of swallow that a little bit easier without the forefront of like a religion or religious attachment to it. This is a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it from chat anyway, just because I know if I don't say anything, they're gonna.
Okay, no problem.
They want to know: can you read animals?
Yes, I have vaguely been able to. Actually, Mary's cat was one that when I was practicing, I practiced on her.
No shit, that's crazy.
Yep.
There you go,
Which
chat.
cat?
Your was it the one that? Please tell me, was it the one that died recently?
I believe so. And I asked her if, because she has another cat, right?
They have two right now. They have Opie
Okay.
and Ivy is the one that they have now. I think Archie was the one that got into some stuff in
Correct.
the neighbor's garden and passed.
Okay. I said with this one, I could see it being able to see spirits in the house. And I told her how I could see it standing and looking around. And I can't remember everything I said now, but she had said she felt connected to it.
I'm sure that helped her a bunch because I know Hugo and Mary were really torn up when
if
Archie
there's
passed.
gonna be any cat in the world that would find its way through on the other side, it'd be Archie.
Yep.
For sure. That little bastard was sweet. I lived with him for a long time, and he was a sweet cat, but he's an ornery little bastard.
Was he like smoky or gray?
Yeah, he was. He was a smoky gray little fluffy guy.
Yep.
That's crazy. Well, there
Great
you go,
cat.
cat. All dogs go to heaven. There you go.
They do. They do. And a lot of times they actually come back in other animals, or like a part of your spirit will come back to you multiple times.
You hear that, Pupper?
He'll be coming back.
Fucking dumbass just said.
So what?
God.
You want to give me a treat, Dad?
I do have some. You want a Cheeto? Sorry. Here. Come on. There you go. Oh, that one's there you go. Good boy.
Do you have any animals yourself?
We have 4 dogs. Sandy had 2
wow.
and I have 2. So we have 2 little Chihuahuas that are seniors and a really chunky Yorkie named Jeff and a Maltipoo. It's very sensitive. Yes.
Sounds like a good group.
For sure.
Yes.
Old Jeff.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Chunky little Jeff just hanging out.
Yep. Jeff's a sensitive little guy.
That's another kind of. I guess this is going to be posed in such a vague way. So, like, what about guardian angels, or I guess like guardian spirits in this case? Would you say that, like, I guess some like the spirits that talk to you, or even sometimes I guess animals? Now that is a new information for me. You think that the ones that come through and want to talk, or at least let the person know that they're trying to communicate with them, you maybe put them in that realm of like guardian angel or like guardian spirit or something like that?
I actually surprisingly haven't had a lot of guardian angels come through, but I have had a lot of spirit guides come through. But we do all have guardian angels regardless. So
interesting.
What's the difference between a spirit guide and a guardian angel?
Spirit guides. So a guardian angel is going to be here to protect us. And spirit guides do in different ways. So we have more than one spirit guide. We normally have like a spirit team that comes with us here from the other side, maybe people we knew in past lives or knew in heaven, and they'll come with you so you'll have like a career spirit guide that will help you be career minded and give you ideas. You'll have a health spirit guide. I know I have one that is a Native American, but yeah, and you'll be able to connect with them. There's a lot of meditations you can do on YouTube to be able to connect with yours.
Okay, cool. I got two questions off of that
Okay.
now. One is kind of related to that, and one is I guess they're both kind of related. So, you said past lives. So would you think that, like, I guess reincarnation or that kind of stuff is real and it happens?
So this was really hard for me to believe because it does sound pretty far-fetched.
Right, and coming from like a Christian background, that's like, no, that doesn't happen.
Yes. So this is just my take on this, but I feel like when we come here, we have certain lessons to learn and a lot of lessons to learn, and it would be really hard to learn all of those lessons in one lifetime. I think the goal is to just keep learning until you've figured out all you need to know, and then you go back, or you can choose to come back here if you've completed your lessons.
Interesting. Okay. And then
Bro, I hope I'm getting close to learning all my lessons because your boy is tired down here. Your boy is tired. I'm ready to go. Like, not tomorrow, not the next day, but I hope this is it. Like, I don't want to come back. When I've served my time, I want to go and be done and go drift in the clouds or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm tired, bro. I'm ready to be done.
Do you guys have any birthmarks?
I have, I think at least 2 or 3. So on my ribs, I think it's on this side. I've got like a brown splotch right here on my ribs. Mm-hmm. And then I think on the back over here, it's like the same color, kind of brown splotch on my back, like shoulder area over here. And there might be another one somewhere else. But those 2 are the ones that I know about for sure.
So more than likely, you were probably a soldier in a past life, and those are stab wounds.
Oh, makes sense. I'm in the Air Force now, I guess.
Yep.
What the?
I've got a bunch of freckles. What does that mean?
It means you're friggin' Scottish/Irish.
Yes.
You Celtic fuck.
I was probably a Viking. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. Who knows?
That's weird you said that, because I did feel Viking connected to you. Do you feel a connection with that in general?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
With you.
I mean, I'm not trying to encroach on this with Alex, but no, not that wrong arm. That one, like, I've got kind of Irish heritage too, so that was probably tomato looking. Damn, no, chat straight roasted you, Alex.
That's fine. It was probably combo, wasn't it?
Yep.
I don't even have a full. Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't have the Irish connection. I have the Dutch, Holland, like straight up Viking from that side of the country.
The Scandinavian blood.
Yeah, that's why we like to drink so much.
Fair.
Because my ancestors were just rummaging around fucking Holland and all those other parts, just
pillaging and drinking.
Pillaging villages and drinking their mead, you know?
That is funny.
What were you about to say before Alex so rudely cut you off, Emily?
Well,
you were in the middle of something.
Guys, so people that are in our lives now, it's like a soul family. And so as we go through all these lives, we normally do stick with our families. So you guys have probably experienced a lot of lives together.
Interesting. Alex, we're still related. We're not related now, but at some point we were.
Yep.
Could have been.
This is why we feel such a strong connection to each other. I
also have a lot of Hispanic friends, but I feel like that's because I grew up in South Texas. But I don't know. Maybe. Maybe somewhere down the line, like my right-hand man was like a Pancho Villa type guy. Like, for sure. Wait, come on, vamos, let's go.
So my second question was actually kind of based around the meditation thing. So you said there was meditations that we could do to get in touch with our spirit guides. Is there some dangers present with that? like we talked about earlier with like the evil side of things, like is there a danger with trying to, you know, get a hold of your maybe your spirit guides or your spirit family and inadvertently letting something else in?
More, I mean, there could be. I would say more than likely not, but there always could be. So anytime you go into any spirit communication, I would say always just say a little prayer, like protect me from anything that would want to harm me in any way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's simple, but
Right. No,
it
I mean sometimes the most simple ones are the ones that work.
mm-hmm.
This is gonna, I don't know, this might have something to do with it. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. But so I know in Catholicism there's a lot of meaning put behind certain pendants or whatever that are based around some of the saints. Like some for protection, some for whatever. Do you think there's any, you know, is there any basis in that that, you know, those are effective or anything like that? I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you know, maybe you don't. I was just curious.
No, absolutely I do. Actually, my Catholic clients, they feel very strongly about that, and they get signs, and I feel like they feel like they're very protected by those saints. I believe in that.
Yeah, I would say so too, because I had for the longest time in my first car. My sister went on a trip to Italy and went to the Vatican, and she got me a mini, I guess, a mini rosary. She had actually had it blessed
Wow.
at the Vatican, and I've actually since misplaced it, which is terrible. But I used to have it hanging in my car, and I cannot tell you the amount of car accidents that I have avoided while that thing was hanging up in my car. So I don't know if it was like, you know, a guardian angel or something along those lines, or maybe there
Mm-hmm.
was like some, you know, there's some power in that blessed rosary. But the amount of the amount of car accidents that I have avoided when I drove that car with that thing in there was astronomical. So
The Catholic faith is pretty powerful, actually. It's even if you have people you know that light candles in the Catholic faith. I mean, I've heard some pretty powerful things in that religion as far as that stuff goes. I
yeah,
believe in it.
I would
That's
too.
super.
It's the reason they call a priest to do an exorcism instead of a Baptist preacher.
That's true. Well, hey, there was your dad.
That's true, but my dad was Catholic, so we were Baptist for a long time. But growing up, we were Catholic, and even while I was in boot camp for the Marine Corps, that's the only service I went to. As I went back and I went to the Catholic service, more like rather than choose anything else. I don't know. I always felt like I guess I draw to the Catholic faith more than anything, just based off I guess for the most part how it's set up, where it's you know it's not that you can like go and do whatever you want and you'll be fine, but it's at least if you do mess up, it's like it's not that big of a deal, and you can, you know, pray maybe through, you know, through the priest, and they'll be like, you know, it's fine, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
do this, say a couple of, you know, Hail Marys and Our Fathers or whatever, and you'll be all right. Like you're not gonna you're not gonna go to hell.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I always felt more of a connection to
Unless
that rather than a Baptist or a Pentecostal faith.
Yeah, for
unless
sure.
you marry someone who's not Catholic when you're Catholic, then
That's
sorry.
true. Which I guess
You drew the short straw. You're straight to hell. Sorry, bro.
my saving grace on that is I think I went through First Communion, but I was never confirmed. So like I'm not a like true Catholic, I guess, if you want to go that deep into it.
Well,
Okay.
we've had this conversation before where it's not the religion, right?
Right.
It's the people that construct the religion. So Baptist, Catholicism, whatever, it's your level that you bring to the table, you know, of your belief and trying to live your life in a manner that you believe will ultimately glorify a higher power that put you here.
Right.
There you go. You're going to be in good shape. So just
Just
don't be a prick and just love people, and it's going to be all right, you know?
pretty much.
Yep.
Just pretty much what I've done is just foregone, for the most part, all man-made constructs of religion and just gone. You know, Jesus gave us basically 2 or 3 golden rules to live by, and that's, you know, that's pretty much how I try and live my life. Like
Mm-hmm.
Big
Love-
one of them is just leave your hate at the door, all right?
Yep.
Leave your
For
hate at
sure.
the door and just welcome everybody into this little pod we have here. And
Yep.
it doesn't really matter as long as you're not killing anybody or hurting anybody. We'll love you, and let's just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
For sure. And chat, do you guys have any other questions right now? I know we're flown through.
I really thought you were gonna read another question there. The way you're looking at your computer.
Well, I'm
Like, you had
like
one
reading it,
loaded
but
up for sure.
nobody's got anything question wise right now. We flew through an hour and 45 really fast.
Yeah, that did go by.
Is that what it's been?
Yeah,
Damn.
that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
it
here
has
for
gone
it.
quick.
Yeah, this was fun. I'm glad you guys had me on.
Chat is wondering if you have had anything else come through.
I have been getting I feel like it might be connected to you actually. Is your dad's mom passed?
My my granddad actually just passed back right before Christmas.
Okay. And your grandma's still alive though?
Yeah.
Okay. Granddad, let me see. Anything to do with his heart?
I think he had some health complications. His big one was Alzheimer's. He was suffering from Alzheimer's. And then I think he did end up having they were gonna move him to a different care facility, but ended up not, because I think he did end up having some heart trouble.
Were you guys were you guys not super close? Like, was the love there, but it wasn't like you guys always were talking to each other?
Yeah, we lived, so my dad's Australian, and we lived there when I was younger till I was about 7, and then moved back to the States, and we just never got a chance to go back. And I never got a chance to go back and see him before he passed.
Automatically, when I connected to him, I can feel a very deep sense of love, and that's why I asked you about heart too. But it felt like heart complications, but also just like a very warm sense of love. And like I said, I don't see a whole lot of like communicating, but it didn't mean the love wasn't there. And I can feel the Alzheimer's because it's almost like my mind is blank. So let me try to connect to him. He has Alzheimer's. So let's see what else we can get. It's really weird. Did he have big feet or something? Like, I keep seeing him sitting and like his feet are big and there's no socks on. And they're a little bit.
From the little bit that I remember when we did live down there, like he's like my dad. They both have big feet. I usually sat in his chair cross-legged.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why he's showing me that. Let me see. I mean, you don't feel bad? Do you feel like kind of sad that you didn't, or do you feel bad at all that you didn't get to go back there? I don't really get that from you too much.
I do feel a little sad that like I didn't get to go back and see him before he passed. And that, for the most part, for the most of my grown life, it was just phone calls on holidays and Christmas and birthdays.
He seems like a pretty chill dude, like kind of just like.
He was, and I feel like he was like that. Yeah, he was like that with us, with his grandkids. Stories my dad tells, he was less chill, but yeah, with us, I feel like he was very chill, and very loving. A lot of people said that about him.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, our loved ones are always with us. So let me kind of see what his sign would be for you. Okay, automatically I got coins. So our loved ones will send us coins. I would say dimes will be something from him, no, not dimes, nickels. Nickels will be something from him. So you can kind of think back, see if you've seen anything like that, or you remember finding anything like that, but you'll know because you'll just see. You'll look at your table and all of a sudden there'll be a little coin there that wasn't there before, or you'll be walking out of the bathroom and there'll be something on the floor and you're like, okay, that definitely was not there. So he'll be throwing you little coins and that'll be his symbol for you. But yeah, he's even chill now. It's almost like he's not being super serious with me or anything, just like kind of is what it is. I passed, it's okay.
Yeah, he was a jokester. The stories that everybody tells he did love a good joke. I kind of feel that when he passed, that I was sad, but I also felt that I was also glad that it finally happened, because I knew that he was frustrated and struggling with where he was at, and I feel like he did feel a sense of relief when he finally got to go.
Absolutely. Was he really tall?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And him and your grandma, so still together? They were?
Yep.
Okay. And I mean, they were older and had been together for a long time, so I'm not seeing like a super. It's like they loved each other, but did she get annoyed with him?
Yeah, probably. His nickname was Cranky Frankie, so I could definitely see
Okay.
that she probably got annoyed with him a bunch.
So he is gonna. Was it hard on your dad?
Yeah,
Was it really hard?
My dad took it super rough.
Yeah, I can. Okay, so he's mainly around your dad
Yeah.
and your grandma. He
Yeah.
knows you're okay. But those two really need that. It's almost like I can see him like coming and holding them, and they really need that. But I want to see something else too with your dad. I feel like your dad would know that he's with him, or be able to. Actually, I wouldn't say with him. I'd say no, he's at peace. No, he's okay. So
Yeah, I feel like my dad's probably the same way with me, and feels that Grandpa Frank's at peace now that he's gone.
Yep.
But yeah,
It's sad. I can tell that.
yeah, Dad did take it real rough.
He'll show up to them, and I can tell he already is showing up to them, whether they're fully like accepting that or not. I think your grandma really is actually.
My dad's
So
probably going to be the skeptic about it. I could
Yep.
see Nan being accepting of it, but yeah.
That with her, it's almost like he's gone, but he's still there. I would say, but with your dad, I think the thing for him is he doesn't know for sure whether he's around or not still, but he knows he's at peace. So that's good for him, but he is sad. And it is sad, so.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it did. It broke my heart to see my dad sad like that. As much as he, tried to hide it, I could tell that it really tore him up.
Absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, we'll see our loved ones again one day. It's just hard until then.
For sure.
There was one person that I was hoping was going to show up. I was not expecting my grandpa whatsoever, but there's one other person that I was hoping would tap through.
Well, let's see. Is it a friend?
Hold
on. Let me give you more info.
Oh my God. Mary, sorry, I'm going to interrupt a little bit. Mary texted me a little while ago. I didn't hear it go off, but she said, hell yes, she read Archie, and I have a video of him playing with an orb in the kitchen before he passed.
I'm getting a friend with you, Alex. So I'm assuming there was some sort of friendship. Joke around with this person a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not totally sure with this, but did they teach you at all, or were they like a teacher to you? Okay.
Yep. It was a cousin, actually, an older cousin.
Okay.
And we weren't necessarily, I mean, we were friends, but I've always thought that as we would have gotten older, we would have been tighter like now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
definitely the teacher aspect comes into it.
Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense it was a cousin too, because I was getting more friendship than like a grandparent or something like that. So let me see what else. And I actually practiced reading this person. I know who this is, with Mary when I was doing her hair. And what came through for him was, I'm like, did he have long, like blonde hair? And she had said he had dreads.
Correct.
But yeah, let's
Correct.
just.
Yep.
Is there anything you want me to ask before I start telling you anything?
Not necessarily.
Okay, no problem.
I was a pallbearer at his funeral, so.
Okay, so I'm seeing like a handshake like this, like how guys will like go into each other like that. With him, it seemed like you guys were just kind of bros, like you would just talk. It was kind of, I can tell, and I can't remember if I said this with Mary, but I can tell that he had depression or like a deep type of medium mood to him. Even if he did get super excited in life, it seemed like I feel like he had depression. And it's funny because I'm seeing this again, and I got this with Mary, but it was like he reminds me of like a skateboarder dude that's like, yeah, man. Okay, let's see. Everything goes really fast when I get messages, so I just try to slow it down. That's why it takes me a minute to kind of like decipher everything.
Well, in the last conversation we had together, he had just gone to a best friend's 21st birthday party, and he was like telling me like, dude, I got so wasted, like it was so much fun. And I was like, oh shit, I'm the cool cousin. Like, he's telling me about this. You know, like we're bros.
Mm-hmm. He was it seems to me, a very non-judgmental person and a very like open to loving other people type person. So when you said that to me, it was like, I did think he was cool. Like he did think you were cool. And he was older than
Dude,
you said, or he was younger?
yeah,
He was older?
he was older than me,
Okay,
and I was
yeah.
not cool at all at that point in
No,
my
but
life.
he did think you were.
Yeah.
He didn't see you like that at all. And like the age to me, the reason why I asked is because the age to me didn't matter either. It was like, he did think you were cool. He thought of that with everyone. He was not a judgmental person. So for him, his lesson here was to teach people to be more like that. Less judgmental, more open with loving. And this is sad, but like to give people a sense of reality as to be more loving while you're here, because we all are going to pass one day and we're all just doing our best in life. So be patient and loving with people, because I feel like I know there was drama in his life, but I feel like he definitely was judged in this life. And I can tell that it did bother him. Just not being able to really be accepted. But he is happy. I can actually see like family gatherings where he's still there. He is very active in his parents' life as well. Did he have a sister? No sister. I'm seeing like a
brother.
What about a girlfriend? You know what? I feel like I had this with Mary last time, and she's like, there might have been a girlfriend, because the last time I saw him with a girl too. I don't know, but definitely with her too.
There was a girl involved, but I don't know.
Okay.
He was super involved with his brother's now wife also.
Mm-hmm. What I'm getting is let yourself open up a little bit more, and you don't have to be communicating with like the world's spirits, but let yourself be more open to communicating with your own family members, because for you, I just see you like playing video games and him just being next to you with like a headset on and it just being a normal day. Like he is with you. And
The dude is with us while we're gaming,
like,
Alex.
I feel like, do you ever he's showing me like a weird smell, almost like, have you ever been playing video games or like sitting wherever you sit and you're working on like something like that and you smell something kind of weird and you're like, what is that? Has that happened to you yet?
No, I used to be playing video games all the time though, when I would get online, and I would see his gamer tag pop up for like people to invite to the game.
Okay.
No,
You'll
like
have to let me know
smells.
if anything ever happens. He's showing me like opening up a pop or like twisting a lid and like that, like the fizziness or the sound or the smell or something with that. So I know that's really random. You'll have to let me know if you hear that or if you oddly smell pop.
Oven pizzas.
Okay.
I always think of him when I think of oven pizzas. But that would be the only thing in like that realm that I would think of. Because we when we were kids, we went over to his house and he had just got done making an oven pizza. And my sister was like, "Hey, can I have some of that?" And he was like, "No, you can't have some of this." And she was like, "No, for real, give me a slice." And he licked all of it, like every corner of it. And he was like, "Do you still want some?" She was like, "No, I don't still want some." And so every time I think of oven pizzas, I think of that guy.
That is awesome.
I mean, I guess that would be something in that realm, but not necessarily like.
I don't know. Just watch out for it and see if anything happens.
I'll let you know.
It is that, but did he smoke cigarettes? Do you know?
No, he smoked a lot of weed though.
Okay.
That's what he got popped for back in the days of swag, when you had to sell a lot of it because you couldn't sell, like the greener stuff these days. And so he got popped with a shitload of weed in Missouri, and they sent him to court.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want me to ask?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's things I can ask without crying though.
No. Okay. One other thing I see too with him, he trying to figure out if this is either, I see him messing with a cat actually. You know if Mary has an orange cat?
No, we had an orange cat for a long time though.
Okay. Okay.
An orange cat that he met.
Okay, that would make sense then. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Just a connection.
I was with his dad on the day that he pulled the trigger on himself at their house. So I would be interested to know if he was around.
Mm-hmm. So for him, at the time when he did that, I can tell you that he didn't realize like how much all of that was going to hurt everybody. And I think from what I'm getting from him is if he would have had more, he could have done it a different way, basically. And that might sound kind of harsh, like he wishes he would have done it a different way versus that way. For him, he just felt like people weren't gonna miss him. And he felt like he really was better off. Did he cause a lot of drama did he cause a lot of kind of like disruption in his parents' lives? Like he kind of caused a little bit of drama in their life or stressed them out?
Was right at the end there. There was one event leading up to the final event that was very dramatic, like cop shot calls.
For him, he felt like it was just easier to go, and he really felt like everyone would be fine, and he didn't realize how loved he really was, and so he just thought that was the right way to go. But he realizes now, obviously, that was not the case. But
and like you said a second ago, if he would have thought about it a little bit more, it would have been fine.
I feel he was in a panic.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. His probation officer told him he was going to get 6 more months, and he was like, "I'm not going back." Yeah, at his funeral, my uncle said, if he just would have taken a little bit more time to think this through. You definitely talked to him before through Mary. I feel like you got to feel for him.
I told Mary this too. I was like, he didn't really fit in society's standards. And it was very hard for him to, like, he wouldn't have ever been able to. He really did go to the beat of his own drum. So, and like I said, he was more of in a panic state. He wasn't really, he wasn't thinking things through. He felt like that was the best way. So.
Yeah. Well, we would have been badass friends someday.
He's still with you. And again, your biggest thing is just letting yourself be more open to that. Like I said, you don't have to read the community's loved ones who have passed, but yours definitely play a big part in your life. And they do love you and they want to see you happy. So. But it's hard.
I'll ask you offline how to do that.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
I'll have to get some crystals or something.
Yep. For other people will probably want to know this too, but a good way for you, especially because you connect through dreams, ask to see them in a dream. They might not show up right away, but they will eventually.
Dude, I have some weird dreams. We can get into that another time. True. I've heard so many stories. Weird. I got another couple questions for you, I guess. Based off dreams. So I guess for people like me who, when I go to sleep, it's like eyes closed, black, wake up. There's like no dreams. How would, if we wanted to like get a hold of like our loved ones who are trying to come through to us and talk, I guess how would one go about that in like the best possible way?
If you're not getting dreams?
Yeah, if like dreams is not your thing.
So start communicating with them. I know I already said that, but that will really make a big difference. Start talking out loud to them. Do it while you're driving or getting ready in the morning, but they do listen to you. So talk and say, hey, I want to start communicating with you. If you really are around, say something random, like show me a blue jay feather, or, just ask for them to show you different things, and they will. So watch out for those. And you can even ask, show me 3 signs, just to get a more clear message.
Okay. My second question is, has anybody ever like come into like a session or anything and thought that maybe you could tell them the future or anything, if they have like any misconceptions about it like that?
Yep. So absolutely. And it's probably going to sound crazy again to skeptical people, but I do make predictions and they normally do come true. So It's it actually shocked me when I started doing it because I didn't know that was going to happen. But even not a while back, I told one of my clients, okay, you're going to be moving in this month. She's like, we're definitely not moving. That's not going to happen. And sure enough, she did move.
That's
So
wild.
yeah, it is. It actually is. And it does surprise me even still.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would be surprised too. That's wild.
Yeah. You guys will have to get some tarot cards and read each other.
I have to do something at this point. Like I've always been like I am 1000% not skeptical about this anymore. Tarot, I am still kind of skeptical on because I don't really know too much about it. So that's probably the biggest reason why I'm skeptical on it. It's just because I'm not, I guess, educated on it.
Yeah.
Do you have have any experience like with tarot reading or anything like that? Or is that just something that it doesn't fit in like your wheelhouse of things?
No, actually, I use tarot cards in my readings, so I don't have to, but I do anyways. It's just kind of like a guide, but I love using them. I started out using tarot cards. Again, always pray and ask for the highest of good to come through in the readings. But yeah, tarot cards are awesome and they are shockingly accurate.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Chat, do you guys have anything else? I know we've taken up 2 hours of Emily's life here and it's flown by.
No, come on. But yeah, we'll have to do this again.
For sure. For sure.
Next time I see you guys too, I'll make sure I haven't worked and I've meditated and maybe we can read some of the
Sure, yeah, no reason. I came into this fully expecting not to get anything out of it, and then when you said you were tired, I was like, all right, yeah, that's fine. Like I'm not gonna push it, but here we are, 2 hours in, and minds have been blown. So
that's awesome. Glad. Well, I love that I could relay messages to you guys because it is hard.
Great, and that's gonna. I actually was.
Yeah, that was dope.
I actually texted my dad just a little bit ago, and I was like, "Look, you're gonna need to watch this when I upload it here in the next couple of days." I was like, "Or I'll call you later tonight if you're still up." And he said that he's actually on his way to bed, but he's gonna watch it and then he'll give me a call. So this would be good. It'll be good for him to know that his dad's looking out for him.
His dad loves him very much, and he's very proud of him.
That's good.
Ask him too. Ask him if his watches or like his clocks have stopped at all or been weird. Ask him about that. I got chills saying that too. So either it has happened or it's going to happen. And I think that will be like a very clear sign to your dad because he will be, I'm sure, more skeptical.
Yeah, I can. So yeah, I can see dad being skeptical. All right, yeah, I'll let him know to be on the lookout for watches and clocks if they act funny.
Yep.
Very cool. Chad, if you guys don't have anything else for Emily other than to put me in coach, because that's obviously not how this works, then we're gonna end this week's episode. And I thank you all for like hanging out and being respectful and responsive to and having great questions for Emily this week. And as always, if there's anything else you want Alex and I to talk about or cover at any time, hit us up on social media. Some of you guys have my Discord, and our socials for Twitter and stuff are at the end. Other than that, you guys have a great rest of your week. YouTube, same thing. Y'all, love you guys. The viewership over there. Do what you've been doing. And other than that, we will see you guys next Sunday. And we'll see what the world has to present to us this coming week, all right? Peace, y'all.
Emily, thank you.
Thank you, Emily, so much.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You do the same.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.